thought the whole thing was kind of beautiful, didn't you?
Well, I thought it was two boring people going to see fish.
Well, it's a lot more exciting than what we're doing.
Wait a minute. Am I hearing this right? You want me to insult you?
Yeah. I'll give you $20 if you do a good job.
$20.
Right.
Look, Mr. Jefferson, keep your $20. This one's on me.
The 70s and 80s were a golden age for television comedy, but not every laugh track lived forever. For every Cheers or Happy Days, there were 2 or 3 oddballs that aired for a single season or less, and then vanished like last week's TV dinners. That's where we come in. Today, we're counting down 12 mind-blowing sitcoms from the 70s and 80s that you probably forgot even existed. Some were ambitious, some were desperate, and some were just plain weird. But all of them tell us something about the era of polyester suits, studio audiences, and very special episodes. And hey, if one of these jogs your memory, let us know in the comments. Misery loves company, and so does nostalgia. Number 12. Kicking off our list is a sitcom that tried to mash Cinderella with South Philly sass, Angie. Premiering in 1979, it starred Donna Pescow, fresh off Saturday Night Fever, as a working-class waitress who suddenly falls for and marries a rich doctor. Cue the culture clash, the in-laws from 2 totally different planets, and a studio audience laughing at every awkward family dinner. On paper, it had everything: romance, class commentary, even a theme song sung by Maureen McGovern. For a hot second, it actually worked. Angie cracked the top 10 in its first season, but like many shows in TV history, it couldn't keep the spark alive. By the second season, viewers drifted away, and ABC pulled the plug after just 36 episodes. The wild part? Angie was created by Gary Marshall, the same guy behind Happy Days and Laverne and Shirley. Proof that even sitcom royalty can't always strike gold. Number 11. Before Jason Bateman became the patron saint of awkward smirks on Arrested Development, he was sharpening those skills on It's Your Move. This short-lived NBC sitcom cast him as Matt Burton, a teenage con artist who spent every episode running scams, mostly at the expense of his mom's new boyfriend. It was the anti-family sitcom. Instead of heartwarming lessons, you got elaborate pranks, sarcastic one-liners, and a lead character who was basically Ferris Bueller without the charm. Critics kind of loved it, calling Bateman a natural. Audiences? Not so much. Parents complained it was too negative, and NBC panicked, forcing the show to soften Matt into a reformed, nice guy. By then, the damage was done. 1 season, 18 episodes, gone. Still, the show has a cult following, mainly from Bateman superfans who love to point out, hey, he's been playing the same dry, scheming character since the 80s. Some things never change. Number 10. Remember Bewitched? Of course you do. But do you remember Tabitha? Probably not, and for good reason. This short-lived spin-off followed Samantha and Darren's daughter, all grown up and working at a TV station in Los Angeles. Think Mary Tyler Moore, but with magic sparks flying whenever Tabitha lost her cool. A BC clearly thought they had a sure thing: the nostalgia of Bewitched, the charm of a workplace sitcom, and a built-in fan base. But audiences didn't buy it. Maybe it was the recasting. Lisa Hartman played Tabitha, not the original child actress. Or maybe people just weren't ready for a laugh track paired with supernatural zaps. Either way, the show fizzled after just 1 season. The funniest part, producers tried to retool it mid-run by focusing less on witchcraft and more on office hijinks, basically stripping away the very thing that made it Tabitha. That's like making a Hulk spin-off and telling him, yeah, but don't turn green. Number 9. If you thought sitcom premises couldn't get weirder, meet Jennifer Slept Here. The setup: a family moves into a Hollywood mansion that just happens to be haunted by the ghost of a glamorous movie star, played by Ann Gillian. She befriends the teenage son, helps him with his problems, and because this was the 80s, no one seemed concerned about the slightly creepy ghost-mentor dynamic. NBC clearly hoped this would be a supernatural twist on the family comedy boom. Instead, it mostly confused people. Was it supposed to be spooky, silly, a commentary on celebrity culture? The answer seemed to be yes, all of the above. Audiences weren't buying it, and the show only lasted 13 episodes before heading to the great TV afterlife. Here's the kicker: Ann Gillian actually got a Golden Globe nomination for the role, so even though the show bombed, she managed to walk away with some critical love. Proof that sometimes even a ghost of a sitcom can leave a mark. Okay, we're halfway through this ghost town of forgotten sitcoms. Be honest, have you actually seen any of these, or are you questioning your own memory? Drop a comment with the ones you vaguely remember, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss more TV deep cuts. Number 8. The early 80s loved two things: cowboy nostalgia and corny sitcoms. So why not mash them together? Enter Best of the West, an ABC sitcom that spoofed old westerns with a very modern sense of humor. The show followed Sam Best, a Civil War vet who becomes the reluctant sheriff of a dusty frontier town filled with outlaws, schemers, and a lot of slapstick gunfights. It was basically Blazing Saddles reimagined for primetime TV, minus the R-rated jokes, of course. Critics appreciated the parody, but audiences didn't exactly stampede toward it. Ratings tanked, and after just one season, ABC holstered the series for good. Still, the cast made it memorable. Joel Higgins as Sam Best, and Leonard Frey chewing scenery as the villainous Doc Kettleman. And fun trivia, Meadowlark Lemon from the Harlem Globetrotters even popped up in a guest role. In hindsight, Best of the West was a little ahead of its time. Today, audiences love meta parodies. Back then, they just wanted more Dallas. Number 7. Spin-offs were everywhere in the late 70s and early 80s, and one of the shortest-lived was Checking In. If the title doesn't ring a bell, maybe this will. It was a Good Times spin-off starring Marla Gibbs as Florence Johnston, the wisecracking maid from the Jeffersons. The premise? Florence leaves the Jefferson household to become the executive housekeeper at a New York hotel. Sounds promising, right? A familiar character, a new setting, and plenty of chances for guest star hijinks. Unfortunately, the execution didn't exactly work. The writing leaned heavily on one-liners without much story to back them up, and critics called it flat. It lasted only 4 episodes before CBS pulled the plug. Yes, 4, but the network wasn't ready to give up on Florence. Marla Gibbs was quickly written back into the Jeffersons like nothing had happened. So technically, Florence is one of the only sitcom characters to fail at her own show, but still keep her day job. Hey, at least she didn't get replaced by Cousin Oliver. Number 6. File this one under wait, they brought that back. We Got It Made was an NBC sitcom about 2 single guys living with a beautiful live-in maid played by Terry Copley. The entire pitch was basically, what if Three's Company, but even less subtle? Cue endless misunderstandings, jealous girlfriends, and jokes that aged about as well as a glass of milk in the sun. The first season tanked in the ratings, and NBC canceled it after just 1 year. But in a twist almost no one saw coming, it was revived in syndication 3 years later with most of the same cast. Viewers gave it a second chance, and then rejected it again. Turns out doubling down on mediocrity doesn't make it better. Still, the show has a weird place in sitcom history. It became one of those, why does this exist? Time capsules of the 80s, neon colors, big hair, and humor that played like a commercial for Bud Light. If nothing else, We Got It Made is living proof that some sitcoms are better left in the past. Number 5. Okay, this one lasted longer than most on our list, but it still filed firmly under wait. Was that real? Small Wonder was a syndicated sitcom about a robotics engineer who secretly builds a child-sized robot named Vicky and passes her off as his daughter. Yes, an actual robot in a floral dress deadpanned her way through suburban life, and somehow no one outside the family thought it was weird. The show leaned hard on Vicky's monotone delivery and malfunction gags. Think does not compute mixed with canned laughter. Critics shredded it, calling it wooden, pun intended, but kids loved it, which explains how it ran for 4 seasons. Watching it today feels like peeking into an alternate dimension where sitcoms were written by science fair projects. Still, Small Wonder has a cult following, especially among fans who grew up on syndicated reruns. And here's a fun fact, Tiffany Brissett, who played Vicky, basically left Hollywood afterward. In a way, the character outlasted the actress. Vicky the robot is still remembered, even if the show she powered has been mostly erased from collective memory. Number 4. What if Snow White and Prince Charming didn't live happily ever after? What if they moved to suburban California in the 1980s and tried to blend in with their neighbors? That was the actual premise of The Charmings, a sitcom so bizarre it feels like a parody of sitcom pitches. The show featured Snow White, Prince Charming, and their 2 kids adjusting to modern life after being put under a spell for centuries. They lived in a cul-de-sac, shopped at malls, and dealt with cranky neighbors. Oh, and the evil queen lived with them too, because why not? It had costumes, magic, fish out of water gags, basically Enchanted before Enchanted. Unfortunately, viewers weren't charmed. ABC canceled it after just 2 seasons, though the fact it lasted that long is a miracle in itself. Looking back, it's easy to see why it didn't land. Fairy tale tale characters clashing with yuppie culture was a one-joke premise stretched way too thin. Still, if you grew up catching reruns, it probably lives in your memory as one of those, wait, was that real? Fever dreams of 80s TV. Number 3. Technically a late 60s sitcom, but it resurfaced in 70s, reruns often enough that plenty of viewers remember it, if they remember it at all. He and She starred real-life couple Richard Benjamin and Paula Prentice as, well, a married couple navigating city life. He was a cartoonist, she was a social worker, and together they delivered sharp, witty banter that was way ahead of its time. Critics adored it, calling it a smart, sophisticated alternative to the broader slapstick sitcoms of the era. Sound familiar? That's because He and She is often credited as an early template for The Mary Tyler Moore Show and even Friends. But despite all that future influence, it bombed in the ratings and was canceled after just one season. Here's the kicker. Jack Cassidy played a pompous TV superhero named Jetman, basically a satire of Adam West's Batman. He was so good in the role that he actually won an Emmy. So yes, this forgotten sitcom managed to produce Emmy-winning comedy, proof that sometimes quality doesn't equal longevity. Number 2. Imagine this pitch meeting. What if King Arthur's wizard, Merlin, was alive and well in modern-day San Francisco and worked as an auto mechanic? That's Mr. Merlin, a sitcom so strange it feels like it escaped from a Saturday morning cartoon. The show starred Barnard Hughes as Merlin, now disguised as a cranky mechanic trying to live quietly after centuries of spellcasting. But of course, he accidentally reveals his true identity to a teenage apprentice, and suddenly we've got magical hijinks in between oil changes. It had all the elements of a goofy fish out of water sitcom, Merlin using spells to fix problems, bumbling teenagers getting into trouble, and a lot of ancient wizard doesn't understand modern technology jokes. Sadly, the premise wore thin fast. CBS canceled it after just one season, leaving poor Merlin to vanish back into obscurity, and yet there's something oddly charming about it. If nothing else, Mr. Merlin is proof that the early 80s really would try anything as a sitcom premise. Auto repair shop wizard? Sure, why not? Number 1. Yes, the title is exactly what it sounds like. My Mother the Car followed a man whose deceased mother is reincarnated as, wait for it, a talking 1928 Porter automobile. Every week he'd chat with the car, voiced by Ann Sothern, who dispensed maternal advice while honking, flashing her lights, or conveniently stalling to make a point. Premiering in 1965, it was roasted almost instantly. Critics labeled it one of the worst sitcoms ever made, and the reputation stuck. But here's the kicker. Thanks to reruns in the 70s and early cable in the 80s, plenty of viewers grew up catching random episodes and wondering if they'd imagined it. On paper, the show wasn't completely ridiculous. After all, Mr. Ed had a talking horse, and Bewitched had magic. But there was just something about a wisecracking car mom that felt too far, even for sitcom land. It only lasted one season, but the legend of My Mother the Car has outlived most of its peers. It shows up on worst show ever lists to this day, and for good reason. Still, you have to admire the sheer audacity. In the world of forgotten sitcoms, this one wins the gold medal for absurdity. So what have we learned today? That the 70s and 80s were basically the Wild West of sitcom ideas. Networks would greenlight anything. Haunted houses, robots dressed as kids, wizards running garages, even your dead mom reincarnated as a car. Some of these shows were ambitious, some were cash grabs, and some were just plain bizarre. But together, they paint a picture of an era where TV wasn't afraid to swing big, even if it struck out hard. The classics of the time still get all the love. Cheers, The Jeffersons, Happy Days. But these forgotten oddballs are just as important. They're the experiments, the flops, the fevered dreams that show us what happens when television takes risks. So now it's your turn. Which of these do you remember, and which ones blew your mind? Drop a comment, hit like, and subscribe for more nostalgia trips. Until next time, keep your sitcoms weird.